Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session on Large Design Review. Today, we'd like to take you through the major areas of Large Design Review, what it's intended to do, how it can help you, and particularly with customers, management reviews, things like that, and take you through some of the functionality, some of the fine points. My name is Eric Leafquist. I'm one of the product managers at SolidWorks. And I worked originally on large design review research, where we talked to a lot of customers, talked about needs, and then we moved ahead and developed what we have today, the large design review mode within SolidWorks. So first, some questions. How many people here have used large design review? Anybody? A few? Okay. All right, yeah. How many people are aware of it and have just some idea? Kevin, how you doing? Okay, so I guess that's a good sign because hopefully we can add to your awareness of the product and a lot of the functionality. I presented this session or a session very similar last year at SolidWorks World, and since that time we've done some enhancements that I think will be very helpful to those that start to use LDR. Okay, so among the multiple products that we have, just to make things really clear, focus, Large Design Review is a mode. It's included in SolidWorks, and so it's related to the design function. We have a few questions about this. It may be obvious, but we have a few questions because there's a little bit of overlap with SolidWorks Composer, 3D VIA Composer, in the technical communications area. But Large Design Review is included in the CAD tool. It's in every license of SolidWorks. So it's in SolidWorks Standard, SolidWorks Professional, and SolidWorks Premium. All students, educators, everybody has access to this out of the box. So, Large Design Review is really targeted to the design group, the design function. It's a capability, as I touched on at the beginning, that enables you to show something, explain your design to your boss, to other members of a management team, to a customer group. And basically, the scenario that I often cite is you're working away, the boss comes in with the client and says, hey, can you show us the new dairy project, if it was Kevin's office, the new dairy design. And so if it's a really good size, large design, you're going to say, wow, it's going to take a while to open that. So with Large Design Review mode, you can simply use this capability to open this design pretty quickly. That's priority one, is fast opening. And then be able to start to explain the design or show the design to your boss, to other managers, colleagues, and certainly customers. So we believe that this ability to communicate it and can convey the idea really quickly is a way to get to cut to issues quickly, to get to find either problems or issues that maybe a client doesn't like and would like designed out. But it's a way that you can quickly get at and convey all of your needs on the design. Now, we took great efforts to make sure that this was part of the product. In other words, this is not another file that you have to publish. We all like e-drawings. Almost everybody seems to like e-drawings. But e-drawings, as an example, if you want to actually make an e-drawing, you have to publish an e-drawing. You have to take that action. So with Large Design Review, it's a tool, it's a capability inside of SolidWorks. It just works with your files. So you don't have to publish and then manage and all that type of thing like you would with other tools. Notably Navisworks. Navisworks is a tool that's out there in the marketplace for looking at things quickly, opening large files, but you have to then manage the Navisworks files, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're working in an all SolidWorks environment, this is a very strong, viable way to speed up and communicate and convey the ideas, yet still be right in the SolidWorks mode. So there's a number of key elements to large design review, and I believe it's best described as about the top 7. So as I just touched on, fast opening of your design is paramount. That's priority 1 in the example. And we're going to go through a few PowerPoint slides here. There's a handful more, and then we're going to go in and we're going to start to use the tool with SolidWorks with a very large assembly. So fast opening, very, very important. We're going to go into some details on this. Searching, you've got to be able to find your way. When you're sitting with that client, you're going to want to be able to measure, and you're able to do that in large design review. Figure out how big is this thing we're speaking about. How big is this design we're showing? We can measure. Can section, again, using all the same tools and interface that you're used to using in SolidWorks when you're designing. You can use them in this lightweight mode, very, very lightweight mode, to find your way through and explain the design. Now, anytime you're going to show somebody something and ask for their feedback, you're probably going to want to write it down. And with our snapshots, we can do just that. We'll show you how. And depending on the type of design it is and the way you want to convey it or explain it, walking through the design can also be very helpful. So we're going to go through and do some of that live as well. Now, some people actually edit their design as they go. And you can do that. Generally speaking, I believe that you're going to walk through and you're going to explain and measure and section and convey the idea, take notes if you will, and then go back to the office and actually make the changes. I think that's the most viable way to use this, but you can in fact selectively open things, edit, and update. Okay, so fast opening. What do we mean by fast opening? Well, here's one case study example that we have right here, and we have another one in a minute. And so here's a skid system. It's an ionic water softener from our friends at Infilco Degremont, the Anderson Water Group. And it's about 105 megabytes, a few thousand parts. And it'll open fully resolved the way it's been built by the company in about 45 seconds, which is pretty fast. But in large design review mode, it'll open in about 3 seconds. So that's open in 3 seconds, ready to go and use those various functions that we just spoke about a minute ago. So basically what we see in most cases is about 10 to 15 times faster opening than in full SolidWorks design mode or fully resolved mode. Now right here at the show, right here at SolidWorks World in the Partner Pavilion, you can actually go and speak with Ryan Harriman in a partner booth for iBuild Live. And he's a really interesting guy. He's a very creative engineer. He started using SolidWorks in college. He's quite a young guy. And then he's gone off into engineering consulting, and he's created for a client this Tribine system, which is a 1,000-bushel combine machine with 18,000 plus parts in it. And he's got it down on the floor, down on the Partner Pavilion floor, showing his design and some of his solution partner products with it. He's got that on display, and he's using large design review as a way to convey it, to show it, and be able to explain it to anybody that walks by. So you might like to see this up close since it's right downstairs. So after he designed it, they've actually built the first version here. The photograph at the bottom shows the actual real machine. So 18,000 plus parts, and again, he'll open this full item in around 20 minutes, yet he can open it in large design review mode in like 90 seconds. So it's a very fast way to get started in explaining it to you if you go downstairs, or if he explains it to his client, or perhaps somebody that's making some of the parts. Really interesting example. Okay, so once you open it, then what do you do? Well, finding your way through the design, finding points of interest, find all the pumps, find all the cabinets if it has electrical controls. Finding those types of things is done the same way that you do it just in standard SolidWorks mode. You have the filter above the feature manager. That's a viable way to search, and you can find your way through in that fashion. Well, again, we'll see this live, but basically, you can click in the feature manager, you can find the parts in the graphic window, or click in the graphic window and find your item of interest in the feature manager. So it's a very, very handy set of tools. And again, there's not very much to learn at all because you already know it in using SolidWorks every day. Now, another thing that I really like to use is the tab to hide capability. If you're going to navigate your way through a complicated design, you want to basically peel away the layers and start to look deeper and deeper. And the tab to hide functionality, does anybody use this in SolidWorks? Anybody aware of this? It's a few people, okay. That's an example of something that we integrated from 3D Via Composer, a capability that's in 3D Via Composer that we brought into SolidWorks. And we'll see this today, but just be advised you can use this in LDR, but you can also use it in standard SolidWorks as well. And I will highlight the ability to put the mouse over something, tab to hide the item, and then if you change your mind, just shift tab to bring it back. And if you go drill down a few layers, you can just shift tab to bring back the items that you actually hide. Now the measure tool, again, standard measure tool with a caveat here. It's the standard measuring capability in SolidWorks. However, it is a reduced precision measurement capability. You are alerted of this the first time, and you can cancel the warning message or the alerting message after your first time. But basically, it's focused at this point on edge to edge, edge to planar, and planar to planar surfaces. It's not oriented to measuring between diameters at this time. Now, sectioning works just like standard SolidWorks, and one of the keys is we can measure across the section views using the capabilities that I just spoke about. So that's a very good way to start to explain your design as well. Now, again, if you're having a design review, you're probably going to take notes. You can use the yellow pad. You can use any number of ways to take the notes, or you can actually take a snapshot and add comments to your snapshot. And this was developed for use in large design review, and it's been quite popular. We've now added it to standard SolidWorks mode. You can take snapshots there, or you can actually see your snapshots that you take here. When you go back to the office, for example, and start to make your designs, you can then see the snapshots inside of full SolidWorks mode. So that's been a very well-received feature in particular, and it's very much like walking through a facility or going into a machine you may have built and taking a picture and saying, oh, I want to change this, or oh, I want to change that. So the beauty of it is you can add the notes to it, and they stay in order of collection. The order that you create them is the way they're maintained. Now, one of the things that we'll see when we go into SolidWorks live and actually use it is now we can take the snapshots, add the comments, and we can do that as we walk through the design using the walkthrough. Originally, that was a limitation of large design review. You had to either take a walk through the design, or you could take snapshots. Now you can actually do both. Now, the walkthrough capability is often a very good way to lead somebody through. You can lead somebody through your design in the order that the material is processed through the machine. Maybe you can walk along next to the pipes. As Kevin here makes milk processing equipment, maybe he can start where the milk comes in. He can actually walk the client through and show the way the milk comes out the other end. So the walkthrough can be a powerful capability, and similar to the way that you take the notes and take the snapshots, you can also save your walkthrough path and reuse it later. So in other words, if we go through today, we walk through a machine and we check it out, record our path. If we identify work that needs to be done, changes maybe that need to be made, then we can come back next week and walk through it again and see if the changes were made to our satisfaction. So this is typically used in an environment that's sort of depicted by the picture down here, something larger, a larger machine, system, plant perhaps, small plant, something like that, but on the larger scale. But it doesn't have to be large. It certainly can be done on a very small scale. So if you have a detailed circuit board, if you were NVIDIA or somebody like that and you were designing the circuit board and you wanted to walk through it, you could actually walk through and point out this feature and that feature to somebody that might be interested in those types of details. So it doesn't have to be a large design, but it can be a benefit to even smaller designs as well. And then once we go through and we identify what we need to do, we can capture these changes in the walkthrough video, say, or in the snapshots and comments, and then we can actually start to do the changes. I find most people don't tend to do this. They tend to save it up and make the changes not before in front of the client, but to go back to the office and make them there. So this capability is certainly included, and you should be aware of it. Okay? So any questions? We're about ready to transition to SolidWorks. So any questions before we start to go into some live examples? Yep. Yes, it's in 2012 when it was first launched, and it's now in its revised state in enhanced state in 2013, second release. Okay. The tab, I'll repeat the question. The tab to hide function was in 2012, yes. Yeah. Very handy. I hope you like it as we show it. Okay. Okay, so let's go to SolidWorks. So SolidWorks 2013. So in order to use large design review, it's as simple as file open, but you just need to go and browse to the particular item that you're interested in. So I'm browsing to a packaging line design. It's basically a boxing system, we'll see. But this is 650 megabytes worth of design data in this folder. And we'll just open the top level assembly as a way to get started. So first step, simply browse to the assembly, and then it's a little bit small, so you've got to just pick from the drop down here. So from the default setting, just simply browse to the bottom of the drop down choices, which is large design review, and then select open. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. Stop for a second here. This is just a reminder that you can close out. I'll close it out here. It just gives you some overview. So it's like 3 seconds, 3 1000 to get to this point. So 3 or 4 seconds, 5 seconds maybe, we're up and running. Up and running, live, ready to be able to work with our design. Okay? So very fast to open. And this gives us sort of a quick idea, a quick overview of what we're speaking about. Now, all of your basic navigational functions are here. So if you'd like to zoom to area or zoom out, or the F key to fit to screen, all this stuff is there because it's just SolidWorks. It's just simply an enhanced mode within the SolidWorks environment. You know, your views, you can go in here and switch to whatever view you might be interested in. Using the space key, again, regular stuff, nothing new to learn in that particular regard. So here's our design. So let's take a quick look here and start to go through the capabilities. So the way I've used this to show a design off to somebody is to basically start by opening things very quickly. It shows off, you know, the ability to, the good performance here. And then basically I start to proceed further from here. So one of the things people are likely to be interested in is some of the major items. So how do we find our major items? Let's look for, see if we have any cabinets. We can look in here for something like electrical cabinets. There's 3 electrical cabinets, not very exciting, but they're there. Or we can look at conveyor. We've got conduit underneath to feed our electrical systems to our equipment. We can start to go in and look for other things. And then, you know, this is just basic SolidWorks sorting capabilities, filtering capabilities. And we can find our way through in this particular fashion. Okay, so then, using standard methods, we can go in here and we can say, hey, this motor looks interesting to me. I wonder who made this, or want to know something about it. And when I click on it, it lights up in the feature manager. Or conversely, I can select in the feature manager and navigate straight away to the item of interest. So that's all fundamental and works well as a way to get around. Okay. Now, I've got a forklift truck. I've got some pallets here. But if, for example, I'm interested in a particular measurement, the particular size of my pallets, I can simply go in here, and I'm advised, as I mentioned, I'm advised that measurements are not to high levels of precision here. If you have a reamed hole, for example, for a dowel pin, you can't measure that in this mode. But if we want to know how big our skids are these metric skids, or are these, you know, English imperial type measurement skids, we can measure something like that easily, or clearances. So I'm going to just turn this off, and you can too. So now I can simply grab the end of my design here and then go to my other side and find out, you know, basically, you know, using standard methods, how big this item is. A little over a meter, 1.2 meters. So it's a little bit bigger than the 1 meter size I expected. So I can do some basic things like that. Again, right at that particular moment, or this particular measurement, I actually went from surface to surface. So I can do that, and I can try to determine how far apart these legs are. And let's see. Yeah, these are half a meter apart, excuse me, 500 mm. So I can measure edge to edge, plane to plane, edge to plane, that type of checking. So then, carrying it just a little bit further forward, I can then just interject a section. And here, you know, I've got my sections that I'm very familiar with, because it's just like standard SolidWorks design mode. And here I can drag my sections to sort of go through and check out particular areas. And here, just simply accept a section, and then I can go in and repeat the process, you know, just measuring things, for example. Here, you know, measuring in the section mode. Okay. So you can do that. So any questions yet?
Moving parts in there? They still move here?
Moving parts like the, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's fixed. Yeah, yeah. At this point. Sorry, was it? I'm sorry, I can't. Mass properties. I think we have those. It just brings the notes in. It brings in custom properties. I'm actually not sure about that. Yeah, I don't think we do. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Let's go down here and actually, I don't think we have mass properties here. Yeah, they're grayed out. There's your answer. I'm sorry. Did it close over like a hollow object will be capped? On the inside. So does it fill in the inside? Well, it'll cap off a like a tubular item, like a pipe. Yeah, just caps it off.
Is that just a shell to make it?
Yeah, to make it lighter, Joe. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've got a lot of the basic functions. You can jump right in pretty much and use this on your own. And just, in and out of sectioning is the same type of thing. And of course, this nice robot here that's totally movable in SolidWorks, unfortunately, we can't move that. But if you're showing this to your client, I think you can get the idea, at least the idea across initially that you have spatial relationships, certainly, and can go from there. It uses a small fraction of the computer resources, yes. Yeah.
How many decimals of precision do you have on the measuring tool for large designs you move?
Good question. It's reduced. It's about half approximately of what it is in SolidWorks, but that's an approximate because it depends what you're measuring to and from. There can be tessellation effects, but think of it as millimeters and inches, not better. So measure between the legs, just check for general clearances. Again, is it a metric-based wooden skid or is it an inch-based wooden skid? That's the general intent here. Yes?
Can you switch from there into resolve, or do you have to log?
You can start to select and open things up. The smaller gets really big fast. I'm proposing not to get into too much of it, but basically you can do selective open and select particular items, open them and start to work on them. But I find that in most design review environments, you're not, the editing can be complicated and you're probably not going to want to do that in front of the client or the manager or design team. You're going to say, hey, let's make this change, and then you typically want to take a note and go from there.
How do you add a node to design drawers, for example? How do you add a node?
I can do that right now. Thank you. So, as we start to, we can start off our next step to sort of tour through this design, and what we can do is we can say, let's take a snapshot. So, the first step in our process is we're going to say, forklift view. Let's just call it overall view. Okay. And so we just grabbed a quick picture. Okay. So where did that picture go? Well, it's right here, located under our display manager. This particular tab here. Okay. So under our display manager, we have a snapshot folder. And here we have an overall view that I just took. So these, I'd like to point out, these are in fact views. So this is not a JPEG, this is not a bitmap, PNG or anything like that. It's a SolidWorks view. Okay? So what do we want to say? Why do we care? Well, let's add a note so we don't forget. Let's add a comment. I think what we need is more turning room for forklift. Okay, and that's today. So when did we take it? We took it today. Let's save it. Okay, so now that's just our first one. And as we come back to it here, we can just browse over it and see our thumbnail. And as a result, you know, we can just get a refresh. Oh yes, we were thinking about the forklift truck. It's just a refresher when you get back to the office. Okay, so, and then as we go along, let's go along and take a different one and say, question is, are you able to take a screen capture like for later use in a PowerPoint or some report or something? You could take, you just need to take the manual. You'd have to do that in a standard fashion with a Snagit or some, just a...
So the availability that's in open full mode, go to view and screen capture is not available here?
I don't think so.
Do you have, I can't see it, but do you have view? Go to view there?
The view manager.
Up with the, on the top column.
Under view, display.
And then I screen capture. Okay.
Oh, takes, not familiar with that.
Yeah.
View, oh, screen capture, image capture, let's do that.
Right. So you can actually.
Yeah, can do that.
On the clipboard, and you can take it.
That's a good point. So, but I just would point out that that is a secondary step that you would have to take. So when you take the snapshot, you can't directly use that in, you know, people have asked about that. They'd like that little view to be an actual JPEG and save them a step. So here, of course, we can just take another one and take a snapshot here, and this is this tank. So, and then of course, you know, you get the idea. And then we can comment and we can say, is this propane? Or LNG, stamp it and save it. Okay, and then as you go through, you can see these things and follow up on those at a later time.
So do you see those only in this mode, or can you open up in full mode?
Great question. So we're working in large design review mode. We're taking them now, and then we're going to go to the office in my little story here. Tomorrow you're going to go back to the office and you're going to do the work. You see them in SolidWorks fully in the full mode. And again, that the thinking there is that when you open it fully to do the work, you know you're going to make some changes, you can read down the changes. So, now, I was asked a question about this earlier, and I should point it out that just so you know, these are really handy for jogging your memory tomorrow when you make those changes. However, once you make those changes and you make, you know, change the tank on the propane or the fuel here, when you make the change, that little view changes. So some people say, well, I want it to be the old way. I want to, you know, before and after, so I can do check, 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 check. So just be advised that that little view is going to change as you change the design, if you change the design. Okay, so that's some of the, those are the basics of the of the capture, of the snapshot capture and the comment capabilities. Okay, so let me just go back here for a second. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go and start to take a look at the walkthrough. Okay, so that may be enough. The snapshots may be enough for you to document your changes and document your discussions. But there's more. Was there a question in the back before we go on? Yep.
Does this use of this in any way affect new display states?
Will it affect display states?
Is that any new display states?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Any other questions? Kevin? Yep.
Limits the number of views. I remember working on a project last year where I was using a multi-body part for a building, and with the section views, the document, the elevations, and then we could go past that.
With this?
No, just the straight solid.
24 views in total. I don't think anything's changed, so I haven't run into that limit yet, but
I don't remember if it was 24 views total or if it was 24 section views.
yes.
Get more than 24 sections.
Yes, it hasn't changed as far as I know. Scott, you have any comments back there? And we haven't changed anything in the number of views that we can have, as far as I know. Do you? Do you know? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now this is the next step. If this area was larger or more complicated, or if it was one of Kevin's dairy processing capabilities, he might like to walk through it, to take his client through it. And again, the beauty of the walkthrough in SolidWorks is you don't have to have a pre-planned path. Years ago, we had to have a pre-planned path like a railroad train, and you had to follow that. But this, we can make it totally free form. Okay, so the way you start this off, you just decide on the fly you want to have a walkthrough. So select walkthrough from the top level toolbar. Okay, and then it's going to ask you for some orientation. Gives you the opportunity to orient the design. So here, we basically, I'm assuming we're going to want to just walk through this at roughly eye level, and we're going to walk along the floor, along the production floor surface here. So let's just simply select that. So down here under the constraints, we can grab that particular item. And then we can grab an edge for a viewpoint, and this basically determines which way is up. So we presumably would like this, right side up. So let's leave it with what is the default. 1.6 meters above ground for eye level as you walk along. That's what we have here. So then let's simply start our walkthrough in this fashion. Okay. Now, has anybody used the walkthrough in SolidWorks in the standard mode of SolidWorks? Or use it here at all? Anybody? No? One person? So it's pretty new to people. Okay, so when you launch the walkthrough, it gives you just a tiny tutorial here, a little graphical tutorial, and basically points out that you can move forward, clicking on the up arrow, if you will, here, the up green arrow. And you can move backwards with this arrow and turn to the right, turn to the left, and step to the right or left. So this is the actual movement control. As it says, it's motion. It's the motion control, which way you move your body, if you will. This here represents the actual height. So if this was a multi-level story, if this was Kevin's multi-level facility he talked about, then he could go from lower level to upper level using the blue controls. And then the speed at which you advance through is controlled by the hare or tortoise. I think you've got the idea how that works. So we just default to the middle as an initial point. Now here we spoke about motion. This is our motion direction, and this is our viewing or our head control. So here we can turn to the right, turn to the left, swivel our heads, right around, etc. So this is about motion, viewing, and then this is about recording. Now it's very common to have the need to walk through, just show it off without doing a recording. So it's up to you whether you do that. I typically don't do this very often. I don't do the recording action very often, but you can do that. So anyway, forward, back, etc. You can advance with the mouse wheel and control in this fashion. And we'll do some of this, and then I'll just point out another thing that's not shown here in a moment. Okay, so I'm just going to accept this and say, now what I can do is I can orient where I start from. So I can move across like this. I can move across like this. And my proposal here is let's take our client down the right side of the facility. Okay? We'll take them through down the right side of the facility. And then we'll take them down in a safe fashion. We'll take them down this little runway here outside of any mechanisms or any operators in this particular area. Okay? So now what we can do is we can just start to advance through and stop wherever we want. We stop here and the client says, wait a minute, what kind of motors are those, or whatever, asks some question. So now we can turn and we can say, well, let's get a little closer. We can just go up like this and just zoom in, okay? And then if you want to turn your head down, let's look down, let's look up, let's turn right or left, okay? So head control versus motion. Now if you turn your head and then you keep walking straight, you're going to start to look that way. If you turn your head, you probably want to turn your head back and then continue on. Oh. I'm sorry, what was that? Haven't tried it yet. Well, it may well do that. I just use the mouse because I use it occasionally and I don't bother with the extra hardware. Okay, so now we can start to go through here and control our path as we go. Just go through like this and back, whatever you need to do. Shift sideways and all that type of stuff. Okay? Thank you. I need to share my presentation fee with you, right? Yes, that's the new. It's one of the new developments in 2013. Is we can walk along, and let's just go back to my little example here, and let's just go right here and say we'll turn our head down and say, okay, take snapshot, motor one. Okay, and then we can continue right on. So we can add those as we go. I'm sorry, can you attach what? Like a, can we attach like a person? An avatar? We have that capability in there, but we have it turned off because some people liked it and some people didn't want to get into the person. Do you have a male or a female or what? So how do we ship the product? Do we ship So anyway, we can enable that if you think that's important. But so far we thought we would just provide it this way and let people proceed. So this is straightforward, right? Navigation forward and back. Now, as we showed in that little guide piece when we first started, you can also use your arrow keys, your up arrow and down arrow. So Joe, if we use the 3D controller, you probably get more capabilities. So we need to try that. We need to try that with the Space Mouse or whichever version. Okay. Now, as you move ahead with the arrows, the other thing to note is you can use the mouse as a steering device, okay? Moving sort of, in a sense, hybrid, moving a little bit towards the 3D controller. So now what I can do is I can click my mouse and use that while I hold my key, and that allows me to steer. So if you're going a long distance, if this was a really large plant, you can actually steer your way by holding your up key and then steering along like this, in that kind of a fashion. Okay? All right? And then again, we can turn our heads here, check out the robot, etc. Okay? So again, we can have a dialogue as we go. We can show it off. We can add comments, notes, that type of thing. And then if somebody says they want to know something further about it, we can simply go through like this. We can come down to the end, and then we can turn like this, whatever, and start to check things out. Turn a little more, that type of thing. And then we can move through in this kind of a fashion and turn again. So then, if somebody's really interested in recording this, let's actually make we'll show you the recording interface. It's really easy. Really easy. So if somebody then wants to say, okay, I get the way it works. I get the way your packaging machine, your packaging system in this model works. We can walk through it in this particular way. Okay, we understand it. Now let's make it so we can show it later. Then we simply come over here, maybe come back like this, go to record, simply turn it on, and I'm going to make just a really simple recording like this, and then just turn about in this fashion 90 degrees or so. Check out the forklift, and that's it. Then I've got it available, and then I can actually either generate my video, or what I can do is I can actually play my recording. So it's easy as just playing it, and off I go. So the recordings are then stored with your design. So you can play them at another time, turn them into, process them into your preferred format for video, etc. So any questions on this? Yes? I believe it's stored inside the assembly. Yes, AVI or whatever. Just process it to video is the way that you would do that. What's that, Rodney? Yeah. Okay. So you don't like this video. You want to make a new one. So first of all, we can just drop that, and I think we have to browse to it and delete it. Actually, I'm not sure how to do that, but I can figure that out and send that to you. But I think it's just stored inside the assembly. So any more questions on that? Okay. Yeah, Rodney?
I'm in the large design review and I go open, let's say, a layout drawing. Would you use this assembly?
Oh, I see. Oh, I misunderstood. Excuse me. So you want to open up a layout drawing and say move the machinery apart, something like that on the layout sketch, and have everything update? Something like a scenario like that?
Separate question. If I open a drawing now,
Oh,
would it change my large design review mode to fully resolve SolidWorks?
I see. Okay. So yes, if you have a layout sketch driving this whole little packaging cell here, if you change the layout sketch in a standard SolidWorks manner, and then just update SolidWorks, it will update the actual file, and it will upgrade the large design review graphic mode here to reflect maybe the bigger layout, perhaps. Maybe that's maybe that's how you would make my edit I proposed here with making more room for the forklift guy. That's probably how you'd want to do that, I would guess. Okay. So. Can you save it? What was
Yeah, can you save the assembly so that my company, we send out our parts to the customers, and we usually have to go through a lot of work to create all those different geometries. Being that it's already hidden in this mode, we can save that off as a separate assembly or part process. Kept in that mode?
No, I would just probably advocate try a video if you want to just show something. That certainly could work that way. But no, you need to do a different step. You have to try change configs to a defeatured config or something of that sort. So that's a good idea. Now, to Rodney's question, Rodney asked about changing the layout sketch that might be driving the overall design. And we've been asked to be able to do that inside Large Design Review. Okay, so if this truly was driven by a layout sketch, could we open up the layout sketch and be able to make edits in that fashion? And the answer is we haven't done that yet. Is that a big deal to people, or any thoughts on that? So. Anyway, I'll leave my information later. If you'd like to send us any thoughts on development priorities, please do. But that's something we're thinking about, but we do not have. It does not enable you to do that today, is the layout sketch change. So we can change a part, edit a part, but we cannot change the driving sketch. Yes? No? Yep.
You're already in a everything shell mode. I think Chris was using that. Why can't you just save that? And then put the text file, save that as an example review file, so it doesn't load anything else and send that out.
Yeah.
It's just a shell. You don't have it, but
That's an idea. That's a good idea. That-
In my example, like, the customers aren't just looking at it to check out the design, they actually put them in their assemblies and stuff like that. So we usually take an assembly, save it off the part file, all those bodies, yeah, features, and all the, like, other CAD programs have Apple Command that does all that.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
know it's a lot of work.
well, if that's that file, it's still a problem. I guess it's a little more work.
You still have to, right, like, remake it comfortable for you to get, working.
I thought that's the file. I thought that's the file was going to show it.
You can take it off as just a circuit file, but without the,
Okay, well, I see the utility of that. That's a great idea. But in the spirit of what we were saying earlier, we were trying to, keep it in the...
It's a different avenue, but it was.
Yeah. No, it's a good idea.
it just, when I saw the few sections through and everything was hidden, I said, wow, that
Yeah. Okay.
would be a nice function.
Okay, great. I've got a note here on that in particular and the other things as well. Okay, so there's so that's the quick overview of the walkthrough, and then whenever you're done, you just simply close it out and off. You're back into the regular mode here. Okay. Now, one thing I forgot to mention under the navigation after we introduced it was the tab to hide functionality. So let's not forget that. And so here it's a pretty busy area. And if I can just zoom in and look at my conveyors, right? I can zoom right through the mesh and et cetera. But that's not very much of an overview. It's too detailed for probably what I want. So now what I can do is simply zoom in something like that and put my cursor here over this. Let's just get rid of this control unit. So I don't have to click anything. I simply position my cursor over what I'm interested in or what I'm not interested in, and simply hit the tab key here. And then I can start to hide things. Okay, so I can either click them or just go right over and hide things in this fashion. Okay. Sorry, what was that again? It will basically do parts that you go over. Well, if you know what the subassembly is or you purposely want to go after that, you can simply go over, click on Find it in SolidWorks and just simply hide it over there. But this is a way to sort of like, go through in that fashion. So it's something you can experiment with and see if it works for you. I find some people like it, some people don't like it. It's sort of, polarizing. And bring it back? Yeah. So now if you change your mind, you want to bring it back, you simply say, okay, my control unit is approximately here, and I bring my cursor to where it was, and I go Shift Tab, and I can start to bring things back in this fashion. Like that. Okay, so you go sequentially in, you have to take everything, you have to bring everything back sequentially. You can't skip, some items. You have to bring it back in the same sequential fashion that you put it away or hit it. Okay? So more questions? Yeah, Joe?
How easy is it for you to get back to the design? Close out, switch and go back.
So you're in here, you want to leave it, and then you want to come back to it? Is that your scenario?
Yeah, I went to my actual file, and the group came back in and said, "You got it in? I want to try to do this."
You close it out, come back in, launch the whole system again in LDR, work your way back. Now,
Well, the next question is fast to close in 13 minutes? Sometimes it takes a long close.
yeah, it's not bad, I don't think. I wouldn't call it bad. Let's say, okay, so we're done, right? We're done. So we'll close it out. Don't save it. No, I don't want to save anything. So now, Joe, you want to ask me some more questions, right? So we go open. We'll go packaging line and select the packaging line, large design review, and then 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 5,000, 6,000, 5 or 6 seconds. Now, what was your question? So here we are, we're back, right? So you have to do it, you have to reload it. Okay? Questions? More questions?
But if you don't hit save on your file, that recording that you did previously is still there?
No, it'll go away.
Hold on.
Yeah, it'll go away.
But if you hit file and then you close it, it's saved.
Yeah, if you save it, you need to save it if you want to save your.
Subject. I mean, as you're doing it, you save it.
If you want to save those, if you want to save those animations that walkthroughs. Yep.
On your snapshots.
Yep. Let's just double check me. Lost my snapshots, right? I didn't save. So no saving, no snapshots.
So as you take your snapshots and you want to keep them, you save them.
Yep.
At a time, right?
Yep. Yep. And that simply is the way that it's then available to you when you go to full design mode, fully resolved mode in SolidWorks when you want to make those changes. Okay? More questions? All right, so that's pretty much, and then let me just point out here, you can go in and you can select something and, selectively open it, etc., and then start to make edits, but that gets, there's a lot of different variables there, so I'd rather not get into that now. I'd like to kind of wrap up.
Can you resolve any component within that code?
Yes. So basically you can say, well, let's try something here. We can say selectively open, and you can say selectively open only the items that you select, or you could literally resolve the whole thing. If you say, okay, I'm done editing, I'm done viewing, I'm done discussing, I'm ready to do some real work, resolve it all, and if that's what you want to do, if your assembly is suitable, if you can go that way.
That's what you open it up separately, like in a new window, it automatically resolves.
Yes, that's the idea. So to find out how this works best for you, I'd encourage you, and I'd really like to see you guys try this out. We surveyed about 30,000 people last few weeks ago around the world, and we had about 1,420 respondents, and about 32% of the people said they've tried this at least a few times. So we'd like to see that be 100% of the people and see if it makes sense, and let's enhance it in some of the ways that you guys have mentioned here and make it more valuable. Okay, so it's really, really easy. You kind of basically saw what I went through. Pretty easy to try it out, so I encourage you to do that.
I get the questions all the time when I'm working on a project, and it's on an old product, for instance. So a lot of people like to open up the entire assembly to find out what's what, the advancement way. And this will allow me to do that.
Yep. That's the kind of thing we were thinking about. And by the way, this is not up to date, this data set. So you can open up the 2010 data and mess around with it. So you don't have to convert it to use it. So, Started in 12, yep, and of course enhanced further in 13. Fixed a number of issues. The sectioning, the way I can move the sectioning back and forth is much faster in 13 than it was in 12. It's like regular SolidWorks. For some reason, it seemed slower to me before. And then snapshots as you walk through. Walk, 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 snapshot, walk, 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 snapshot. You can do that in 13. Those are a couple of key enhancements. Okay, so just to, in a sense, perhaps wrap up. So I think it's a great thing to use with customers or with managers. You know, being able to walk through or go through and understand things, convey your design intent without having to, you know, open everything in a sometimes slow way. Is a great thing. So check it out. It's really easy to try out. No setup. Super simple. Easy. Yeah. Yes, Rodney.
Along with the other question someone asked, it might be an advantage if I have a manager in another department and I want to let him open my file, and I don't want to have to teach him how to go and open large design reviews. Maybe give a designer an option before I save the file to check the next time it's open, force it to open a large design review and give a person notification.
Great.
And maybe even a tutorial link pops up on how to use design review. That way these managers that don't use SolidWorks daily might have insight on how to do their own design review, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Or add it to e-drawing.
Add to e-drawings. Yep. Great. So.
Communicate our design through the company via e-drawing.
Yep.
We send it to other managers and we send it to
Sure. So. Okay, that's a great one. That's really a good tip to try to expand it out. We believe we started this in sort of a limited way, and we want to see, you know, where we should go with this. So these are some great ideas to help, you know, take this definitely further. And then there's other questions about pulling the data, the property data that we spoke about earlier, and connecting this to pull EPDM information. That was raised in a previous discussion as well. So all these parts in this example presumably could have data in EPDM, and you'd like to pull that out, be able to show that. So another great opportunity. So anyway, check it out, and if you want to see some firsthand real-world usage, go see the man with the combine downstairs. It's a cool design. And thanks very much for attending. I think we can wrap up a little early. It's been a long day probably for people. So if you have more questions, come on up. If you'd like to give me a card or whatever, you can do that too. And this presentation will be up on the website in whatever we said, a week or two. So thanks again for coming. Enjoy the rest of SolidWorks World. Yep.